Okay, good evening, Somers, and welcome to the Somers Town Board regular meeting of Thursday, June 11th. And if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Patty, roll call.
Councilman William G. Faulkner.
Here.
Councilman Richard G. Clinchy.
Here.
Councilman Anthony J. Sirico.
Here.
Councilman Thomas A. Garrity Jr.
Here.
Supervisor Rick Morrissey.
Present. Thank you, Patty. So our first item this evening, we have public hearing schedule that Roland, I'm going to open and then I'm going to adjourn it.
Correct.
Okay, so I make a motion to open the public hearing on the proposed local law to amend Chapter 170 entitled zoning.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I'm also going to make a motion to adjourn the public hearing as the applicant.
Wait, published and posting.
Okay, published and posting, Patty.
That was published in the Somers Record and posted on the town clerk's bulletin board on May 28th.
Thank you. Okay, so there was a request from the applicant. They need a little more time with to prepare the presentation. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
We don't have to adjourn a specific date?
No.
Okay.
The second public hearing this evening is for the purpose of revisions to the Town of Somers Comprehensive Master Plan update. So publishing and posting, Patty?
That was published in the Somers Record and posted on the town clerk's bulletin board on May 28th.
Thank you. Okay, so once again, the applicant, this has to do with the new school, and the applicant wanted more time. So I'll make a motion to adjourn to a later date. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Now, this is the part of a town board meeting where anyone in the community can call in, Zoom in, text in, comments, concerns, issues that the town board will address. So I'll make a motion to open public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And Rick, the information up on the screen is the same every week, right?
Yes, yes it is.
Okay. So just so for those people who are watching this at any time over the next week, whenever it's on, you may want to get this. We'll put this on our website just so you have plenty of time and you don't have to wait to the meeting to see the numbers to call in, just in case. I mean, I think that way it gives them some time before the meeting.
Okay, but also, if I'm not mistaken, Patty, is the cell phone that you have one of these numbers up there?
No,
So that should be out there as well, correct?
I believe it is out there.
It's listed on the website, guys. And then, of course, we also have the YouTube. You guys see the YouTube feed in the left-hand corner? If they were commenting, you would see comments on there.
Okay.
Yeah, it has happened for other boards and things like that, so that, you know, generally has worked.
What about the Zoom conference?
So the Zoom, what would happen is I would hear a doorbell ring, and I think all of you guys would hear it, and I would just let them in, and they just had to identify themselves. But
doorbell.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Ding dong.
Okay, so Paul, I'm making a suggestion then, if we could have the texting and direct cell number for the phone that Patty has published up here somewhere.
Okay,
That
no
would be
problem.
helpful.
We'll do going forward, no problem.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, Patty, do you have any texts or calls?
I currently have none.
Okay. So Paul, on your end, anything from YouTube
No,
or Zoom?
nope, nothing at all.
Okay, so I have not heard a doorbell. So I am going to conclude there are nobody out there for public comment. So with that, I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. And just as we're moving on to the next agenda item, Roland, I understand that the governor has extended the ability for municipalities to use Zoom for public meetings and public hearings.
To July 6th and 7th, respectfully.
Okay, let me check our 6th and 7th. I think that's after our next meeting.
I think we're on the 2nd and 9th, I think.
We are on
Right.
the 9th.
But it
Okay,
may be that he further extends it. You know,
Right.
I don't think there's any magic to that date.
Yeah, I bet you he will, just based on data that's coming out right now,
Exactly.
especially when you see the
well,
stock.
fortunately, it's not our data. You know,
I know, but
we're still doing what we're supposed to be doing, but yeah, let's see how good we are.
Yep.
Okay, so our first meeting will be via Zoom. Look, let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we'll be back in the meeting room on our meeting for July 9th.
let's hope so.
Okay. All right, Patty, department reports.
I have reports from the town clerk, building inspector, zoning board of appeals, plumbing, Bureau of Fire Prevention, Parks and Recreation, planning and engineering, tax receiver, and director of finance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next item is under town board, Town of Somers COVID-19 update. So we have no guests tonight. This is the first time I'm actually able to give you the update firsthand, first on the agenda. So first of all, let me give you a picture of what's happening in the county. So since the onset of this coronavirus outbreak, the Westchester County has had 34,106 people tested positive for COVID-19. Overnight, there were 30 plus cases that were tested positive. Those numbers in the past have been like 60, 80, 100 overnight, but it is showing a decline. In Westchester County, we've conducted 195,936 COVID tests and 3,494 just yesterday. So that's throughout all of Westchester County. Unfortunately, the county, that includes our own municipality, we've suffered 1,400 COVID-related fatalities. That's the terrible news. And less terrible is we only had one death last night. Not necessarily in Somers, but in Westchester County. State cases, the state has had 380,892 positive COVID-related virus cases. And overnight, they tested and found 736 New Yorkers with COVID-19. New York State has tested 2,729,005
Wow.
residents for COVID, 60,839 just yesterday.
A lot of tests.
And well, here's the shocker. New York State fatalities, 24,442.
Wow.
I mean, the reason you see town flags at half-mast is in recognition of these citizens that have passed away. Many families have been affected. I don't know if there's too many of us that don't know of someone that you knew that passed from this virus. So we have got to take this serious. We are definitely taking it serious. And now let me go into our local numbers. So as of today, we in the town of Somers have had 373 positive COVID virus cases. The good news is this is the same number that we had of our last report back in June 8th. So based on a 2-week resolution of the COVID virus, we can project there are about 41 active COVID cases in the town of Somers. Now, we are seeing these numbers fluctuate because the governor had ordered testing in all nursing homes in New York State. So they're testing employees, they're testing patients. So our numbers, that 41 active, are pretty high. Once you take out that demographic from that 41, we're looking at about 7 active cases in the town of Somers. So we're doing a good job. I want us to be down to 0. I want it to be down to 0 from now until forever. But we're in phase 2 of the recovery, and that includes outdoor dining, which I'll kind of segue into the next topic. The fact that we're down in Somers, I am convinced, is because of the vigilance and the self-respect that each citizen here is showing each other. When I see people in public where they could possibly come in contact with somebody else not wearing a mask, that is social disrespect. As we know, masks protect you from me. If I'm wearing a mask, I am protecting you. So it's a social statement. So you should be proud to be wearing a mask out there, proud that you're part of the effort that has reduced positive cases in the town of Somers to 7 outside of our demographic. So I did want to speak a little bit about outdoor dining this evening. As you know, at last meeting, we passed a resolution to allow outdoor dining as long as they followed Westchester County and New York State guidelines. Now, the guideline basically for New York State, and this goes for every restaurant that wants to have outdoor dining, they need to get onto the website that we've given them, and they have to file an affirmation form. What this does, it outlines all the things about social distancing, hand washing, and the like, sanitizing bathrooms. And that affirmation form must be filed for each restaurant that wants to open outdoor dining. That's on the state side. On the town side, we actually don't have a provision for outdoor dining. Although many of our restaurants do have it, it's always just been considered part of their operation. But now that we're in a new era where you're not allowed to eat inside, we're making this concession to allow outdoor dining. So is Westchester County, so is the governor. That does not mean you're taking confined indoor space, moving it outside in a confined space, like a tent. That's not approved. You can have a tent without sides on it, but the airflow is the whole picture there. So earlier in the week, Tuesday, when the outdoor dining was permitted, I did go around and visit a number of restaurants. And in fact, everyone had tables 6 feet distance, coverings over the tables, and had been taking reservations. So as the board, and we discussed last week, this was an effort really to get employees back to work in the restaurant industry. We have the building department now is getting permits to allow outdoor dining. We will do catch up with these places. Those restaurants that choose to have a tent, the town does have a tent permit, so they would have to fill out that piece of paper. We're also asking for a sketch of their outdoor dining areas, so we would want that to come in with the tent permit, and then a regular just outdoor dining permit. So once again, we're not holding anybody up from opening outside dining, but we are requesting you to file your paperwork. And I'm sure Westchester County Department of Health will be out there doing their inspections, and certainly our code enforcement officers will be out there doing their jobs. And when they are, they'll stop by a restaurant to see that they're in compliance. So that basically is the COVID-19 update and the outdoor dining discussions. And if any of the board has any questions or anything regarding any of that?
I was wondering, last week we talked about certain guidelines or limitations based on Roland's question to Surratt, and she outlined a few for us that day in an email. I was wondering if those have been updated and if those are what we plan to guide restaurants going forward.
In a word, yes. Roland, I don't know that you've seen the most recent document on that, but yes, Rich, we have edited the permit, and it's in a position right now to send that out to restaurateurs probably tomorrow.
Yeah, good.
Do this though, some restaurants had already sent in permits. So we do have a stack of things to go through, but the new ones and the old ones will have, like we weren't telling them about a tent permit. You need a tent permit. So they'll have to catch up and get that done as well.
Right.
So Roland, anything to add to that?
No, just that they also have to comply with the state liquor authority. I think you also sent out those forms to them.
Right, okay, and that is separate and apart from the affirmation, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
It gives them the authority to serve alcohol outside of the building and outside of their terrace. So if they go into their parking lot or on municipal property, or they're in a lawn area, they need to fill that separate form out.
New
Okay,
York
so
State Liquor
Yeah.
Authority sent it to everyone, sent it to all the establishments.
Oh, good.
Does that work based on an approval, or is it just fill the form out? It's like a negative.
I think it's just a filing.
It's a filing. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So in essence, for any restaurateur or anybody that are part of the record, so there's 2 forms that have to go to the state. That's that affirmation form that you're going to abide by all the regulations. And then as Roland rightfully points out, it's the liquor license requesting authority to be able to serve alcoholic beverages outside of their structure.
And all these forms are online?
Yes, well, they're on, yeah, they'll be on our website, but you can, they're
For New
being
York.
sent actually to all the restaurants in Somers. So
And
they
New
don't
York-
have it online, we're sending it to them. Okay, the next agenda item is our reentry task force. Once again, we formed a task force made up of town employees. And I'm going to ask Tom in a minute to just give us a brief update. But this task force, I've asked them to look at guidelines, what measures we need to take to protect, first of all, our employees as they get back to work, and then how we're going to deal with the public visiting our public buildings, and the like. So they've had a number of meetings, have taken some actions already, and Tom took on the task of, we have to submit a reentry plan to New York State. And Tom, I'll let you kind of embellish on that.
So we've had plenty of reading material with regards to reopening and all of that. So yeah, so we've met a couple of times. Patty is on it as well as Michelle McKierney, Bob Kehoe, Tommy Tuma, obviously Kim, who does a great job of keeping everything together. We had a meeting yesterday. One of the things that Rick didn't mention in the COVID update is that right now, non-essential employees could possibly come back to work with 100% workforce on Wednesday, June 24th. We're not saying that's going to happen, but based on what the governor said, that's would be the earliest that it could happen. That's based on us hitting phase 2 on June 9th. So we've looked at a couple of things. Just to give you a quick update in the townhouse, we've ordered plexiglass and frames. We're going to be putting plexiglass screens in the deputy clerk's office, in the tax receiver's office. We're going to be building one to have meetings in the meeting room if we need to, at a 6-foot table. We've got some for across in the annex. We're working with the library also to get them also. So we're keeping, oh, Andrew Farber's also on it. I apologize, I forgot Andrew.
Yeah.
So we're talking to all the different departments and asking them for the request. In addition, for somebody like Patty's office, where a plexiglass doesn't make sense, we're going to put back in the half door that they used to have, so Patty can keep the bottom door closed. And Patty's office is, people sort of just wander in. So that'll keep them some distance so Patty can talk to them about it. We're continuing to do fogging every other week. We're in the process, and we might be finishing tomorrow, the dates are all over there, of doing the HVAC duct cleaning, as well as installing a sanitizing and UV air purification system in the air conditioning system. We're also looking at, we're getting a list of all the models of the window air conditioners that we have, which we have quite a few of them. And we're going to find out which filters are best for those individuals. And unfortunately, we don't have just one type throughout the town. At the time, we probably got whatever was the most efficient and both cost-wise and energy-wise. So we're going to get a listing of those and find out what filter is best to put in that to hopefully some of the COVID and other things. The PPE we go over every week. We have an inventory list on it. We sort of have what's needed on a monthly basis with all the different departments. Kim puts that together. It's a very comprehensive report that indicates the what we have on hand and the projected needs for every single department. I've been able to get masks. We obviously have plenty of hand sanitizer. We're ordering gloves. The only hard thing to get right now are the sanitizing wipes. So what we're doing in most instances is, we're quite honestly, we're using some of the hand sanitizer and paper towels, and using that to clean some of the surfaces if we're running out. One of the things we're looking into, and even more so now, because we're hearing that there may be a possibility of some different areas of the park opening, is we're looking at basically a backpack sanitizer. So you can go and, just somebody has a meeting, you can go and spray.
All right. I'm going to jump in a little bit, Tom,
area.
because you're freezing up a
Based
little.
on that, kind of like somebody. All right, go ahead, Rick.
All right, so yeah,
Go ahead, Rick.
what Tom was just explaining was a backpack sanitizer that certainly we can start doing a lot of our own sanitizing if and when we get the park fully opened and the playground gets open. That's an area we're going to want to routinely sanitize and work on in that direction. But I also want to say, Tom, you mentioned about the HVAC cleaning and the UV light installation. I understand that's going to be completed tomorrow.
Yes, that's
So-
right. I remember the date.
So kudos to to Bob, yourself, and anyone involved in getting that done. Because look, we're erring on the side of caution.
And finally, this is the template for the business reopening safety plan that we have to have in place. I completed it, sent it over to Rick and the different department heads for review so they can add to their parts. I also did not have information regarding specific products that we're using, which we need to do in some parts of it. So what will happen is these guys, all the departments will get back with what they need or complete their parts. We'll fine tune it. We'll send it out to the town board for review as well. But we need to have it in place prior to employees returning.
Right, and that would be June 24th.
Yeah, so it's a pretty involved document, but we did it. I did it this morning and passed it out there to the different department heads.
All right, so here's a trivia question. This came up when I reviewed the document this morning that Tom prepared. So is there or is there not a vending machine in the kitchen at the townhouse?
Yes.
And then I'll qualify that. Was there ever?
There was, yes.
Is it gone now?
Yeah, I wouldn't have given them that hint, but
Oh, sorry.
Patty, is it gone?
Well, not being there all the time, is there a kitchen?
There's a kitchen
Oh,
with
well,
the
uh-oh, we
Say
never
no.
invited you to dinner? Oops.
Apparently not.
It's a fake kitchen.
There used to be a soda machine in there, and I haven't been in there so long. I didn't know they got rid of it.
Yeah, no, it's not there. But part of the report, if you had a vending machine, you had to wipe it down routinely. But sadly, no, we don't have that vending machine in there any longer.
But Rick and I are going to go into business, and we're going to put one in there with like Snickers bars and Kit Kats and stuff.
Yeah,
Hey, we
really.
gotta close the budget gap some way,
That's it. That's right.
Exactly.
Those margins got to be huge on those things.
They are, yeah.
So
Okay, so
Rick, one question.
sure.
One question. Is there anything there about the courts? I know one of those
Yeah.
phone meetings with Latimer, with County Executive Latimer, there was a question about when courts could open, and he didn't have any at that time. Do we have any information on that, or when the town courts would open? and what precautions we would have to take for everybody who's involved in
The
that? Or
precautions,
maybe Roland knows.
the precautions are included in the report. I put something.
Oh, they
down
are.
for it. They are. I don't know when they're gonna open, but what I had to add also was on the last page, it says user space to provide additional details about your business safety plan. And I had to put in the court, nutrition, police department, water department, highway department, and other departments, and sort of specifically what we would have to do there.
So talk about occupancy, Tom?
I didn't talk about occupancy because that's not going to be up to us. That's going to be up to what the governor says. And I guess we'll have to figure that out with, social distancing as well. It's basically, you have to wear a mask and, there's, what, when I get off this, I'll send you guys what I completed. You can look at it before any of the changes are made. So I'll send it out.
That'd be great.
I'll send it out a little bit.
And what I've heard about the court opening, it's sometime in July, which is kind of surprising. But if they're going to allow everybody back to work on the 24th, but then they're waiting till mid to late July to open up the courts. But bottom line is that gives us time to get ready and do what we have to do to make sure it's a safe environment.
However, the judges are actively arraigning
Yes.
when there are
Virtually.
issues, yes.
Oh,
Roland,
yes.
you want a copy of this?
But there's no bail, so.
I don't think I need it.
Okay.
You
Another
don't
piece
have
of
enough
paper.
to read.
All that work I did and you don't want it, Roland? You could at least said yes and thrown it away.
You could single space it now, Tom.
You just want to sell more paper.
No,
Ooh. So I want to thank the entire Reentry task force. And Tom, thanks for taking the lead and getting that report put together. I know it was no easy task.
no problem.
Okay, number 4 on the town board agenda is the renewal contract for the town's insurance with Travelers for the period of July 1, 2020 through June 2021, per referral from Bob Keogh, Director of Finance.
I was with Bob on this. We went over this at our risk management meeting. The key page, I want to say it's page 6. You guys can look, there's a 1-pager that shows all the different numbers and changes. Some of the key things just to be aware, because there was a slight increase, that our total property value went up 1.8 million. Our equipment value went up over $250,000. Auto liability, it's equal number of units from prior years, but we're going to look at that a little bit more because I know we tried to take a bunch of cars off. So I don't know if we had a lot of cars that we took off, so it equaled prior years. But all lines, we're looking at about a 2.6% increase.
I just think that it's something that's necessary. The size, when you look at it, what was it about? Around $500,000 for that item, just to conduct business in the town. That's just a big number.
Yeah. So
it's liability insurance and
liability insurance. It's everything. It's auto liability. It's
comp, workman's comp.
Yeah, everything. Workman's comp is included, and workman's comp is the biggest slug. Yeah. If we pay that early, we can reduce it if we want to pay it by 7/1. I guess, did Bob make a recommendation on that, Rick?
I don't recall seeing that.
I'm paying it quarterly.
But if we pass the renewal contract, we could put that in. What's the pleasure of the board?
Basically, just so everybody knows, right now it's 100. Workers' comp actually went down 197,493. If we pay in full by 7/1, it's $193,800. So we're talking like $4,000, but it's not like if we put it into the bank, we're going to make any money on it right now with the interest rates.
No, but if
You might as well
we're,
save it.
if we have enough cash, if the finance director says we can afford it, you know, money we can use it something else rather than give it to them.
Well, you mean if we could afford it to pay it quarterly?
If we have the cash to pay it up front instead of
Yeah.
quarterly, then, you know, it's not going to put us in a bind. You know, if I could pay my whole mortgage for a year, I'd do it, but I can't afford it.
I mean, it comes down
But
to
if-
what's the percentage rate that you're saving, you know, is it versus the borrowing rate? I mean, that's the analysis.
Well, if you say 4,000 over, you know, it's
On
2%.
It's 2%. Well,
Yeah.
you can't get 2% on your money short term right now.
That's what we're saying.
Right, so it may make sense to make the payment up front and save $4,000.
We got the cash now, right?
Right.
And
So,
again, I will say we've been working with Fairfield, you know, the insurance company on that, Mark Connolly, and really good guys, good people to work with. They've really been helping us, and you know, if we need training and things of that nature, you know, right now we really can't do much because nobody's going out and doing any of that. But it's been a very positive experience with these guys, so I'm very happy with them.
good. All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we renew the contract of the town's insurance with Travelers, and based on a recommendation from the town board to pay the $4,000, pay it up front, which will realize a $4,000 savings.
Presuming Bob agrees with that, right?
Yeah,
Bob does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just texted Bob. He just got back to me and he says he thinks it makes sense to pay it in full.
Good. Yeah.
okay.
All right. Was
All right,
that a
so I-
second?
I'm waiting here. Getting things done.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So moved.
And that was a nice analysis, the way that was laid out. Very
Yeah,
clear.
but
Okay, moving along to personnel. We have openings in affordable housing, our library board of trustees, partners in prevention, and architectural review board. Acknowledge the resignation of Mr. Joseph Pavia as a member of the Somers Architectural Review Board effective May 28. And I want to thank Joe for his many years of service on the Architectural Review Board. I think the town is a better place for his input. And Joe, good luck in all your future endeavors. Okay. So here we are with our consensus agenda. Items 1 through 3. Is there any questions or issues with any of those? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adopt the consensus agenda, items 1 through 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, so moved.
That's the shortest consensus agenda I've ever seen.
Well, you know, business has been curtailed a little bit. So our next town board meeting will be July 2nd. That is the day before the holiday of July 4th. That Friday, we normally are off. But there's no reason why not to have a town board meeting. Then the next one following that is July 9th. And that's be a question mark. Do we get a chance to get back into the townhouse, or will that be extended? But we'll have to wait to see what the governor has to say.
I vote for a September return with the
No.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
these schools, just so everybody knows, these schools are actively working on what's going to happen in the fall. I'm a member of the steering committee for the, and there's about 150 people that are going to be in subcommittees discussing every aspect of return to school. We're having meetings. We had our first meeting last night, general meeting. So hopefully, we'll come up with something. I will say, because he said it at the meeting, Ray Blanche is not necessarily optimistic that we're going to be back in full in September. We're not. I see Richard shaking his head as a former educator. There's just too many obstacles to get by. So,
yeah, again, sorry.
Question is, what is it going to look like, and that's what we're working on now.
I mean, my girls are talking about in their districts, they're preparing for full day Zoom call, which is, it's not great.
Yeah, there was an article this week that distance learning is distance, but not learning. I mean, when they studied it,
Yeah.
and it's just the way it is when you're not in a school and you're doing it on Zoom, that a lot of kids do get left behind. So it's an important situation.
You're right.
The state also, I'm sorry.
I was going to say you're 100% right, and that's what people mentioned last night. Is that and nobody's to blame. You're doing the best you can, but there's kids just are not. I mean, I think I told this story last week. I saw on social media somebody said, "So when's the official last day of learning in the school?" And one of the moms piped back 3 weeks ago for my son. So it's tough.
Yeah, I know. The state or the New York State Public High School Athletic Association did rule on sports that they can begin in July, but only if the school districts are open. So upstate, where school districts might open on time they plan to, they may start sports. But down here, I don't see how well, you can't actually technically practice in July, but you can work out and that stuff. I don't see how they're going to do that if the schools aren't open, though. And so even that could be no fall sports, could be start September 14th, have a short season, go into state playoffs, start September 14th, have no playoffs, start September. So that, like everything else, is off in the air. And of course, it's one of the less important in the long run, but to kids, it's important. But the education is the key, of course.
And one other point, the governor at one point sort of indicated that some camps could open, and immediately there was a wave of what people have to understand is he's talking about upstate guys who went into places that went into phase 1 2 weeks, 3 weeks before us. We're still in, we just entered phase 2. Hopefully the numbers will stay down. We still have a whole nother week of phase 2 before we get into phase 3. And camps are not even until phase 4. So, we have canceled the camp over the summer. We were the first to do it. Every other town followed suit. Private camps obviously haven't done it because that's their revenue stream. So they're going to try and not make a call until the very last minute. But most public camps, all that I know of in the area, have canceled. And again, it's one of those things that I just think the obstacles are too hard to overcome.
Right. I think camps, according to the governor, they can open on June 29th, I believe is the date. If you're a private camp and you jump through all the hoops, possibly you can do that. Those are some of the things I've heard. I've heard that kids can be in groups of 10. So they get assigned a group of 10. And then let's say 3 of the kids don't show up for camp on Monday. You can't add from another group. It's going to be 7 kids in that camp group. And I've been talking to some moms about this, saying, hey, what if the town opened its summer camp? Would that's something you would be interested in doing? And 4 out of 5 said, no way, not this year.
People have to keep in mind, when you look at the town, our camp has like 400 kids.
Yeah.
So, splitting them into any number in the park, it's impossible. How do you tell a kindergartner, keep your mask on and don't go over to your brother's group over there? So, but I just wanted to, that's sort of, when the governor talks, he talks sort of in a global thing where he doesn't actually differentiate between the different economic zones. And again, we are the mid zone, and we're still just finishing up our first week of phase 2.
So in the corporate world, they're starting to open up offices, and it's selectively, but they're going to start with only 10% of the workforce. And, in New York City, it's less, and it's going to be a while before things come together.
No.
Yeah.
Masks all have to be worn all the time in open areas, and in your office, maybe not, but you can't collaborate. It's not easy.
Well, I think whether you're inside, outside, or all around the town, if you can't be 6 feet away from somebody, you gotta be wearing a mask.
Right. And it's going to be interesting to see once we get into the fall and the weather gets colder and you have to
Yeah.
be inside.
Yeah.
Well, here's a kind of a sad commentary I heard today, is that the stock market went bonkers when the numbers came out of COVID cases increasing in the southern states,
It's
who
down 1,800.
their restrictions, and people went to the beaches and are going to restaurants. So, this is, I guess, an important lesson for New York. Yeah, we're doing good. We flattened the curve, then we bent it. We're making great strides. But as we lessen up, you go outside dining, if you get up to use the restroom, you got to be wearing a mask.
Yep.
The numbers in New York City will be interesting too, because they have testing sites specifically dedicated to people who have been protesting over the last week, 2 weeks. And so they want to test those people and then see what the effect was. Because of course, if you watch it on TV, you saw people who are close, many not having masks, and whether that will create a spike or not, I think will be quite instructive of what we can expect in the near future.
Right. That's correct. Okay, I have a few announcements if our town clerk would permit me to read them.
All you.
Thank you. With that said, I'm going to move forward here. So the Somer Central School District, as we began the evening talking about, the annual budget vote and trustee election, to mail ballots are due Tuesday, June 16th, right? That's when they have to be postmarked.
I think they can be accepted until that date. They had to be postmarked already
Okay, or you can put them in the Dropbox.
on Monday or Tuesday.
Last Monday or Tuesday.
Right.
Oh, so that Dropbox is not there now?
I don't believe so.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay,
Time's
So-
running out.
that it is. The Northern Westchester Hospital begins rollout of COVID-19 antibody testing for community members. So as you recall, early on, town employees, essential workers, police, fire, could all get down to Northern Westchester or Chappaqua Crossing and get antibody tests done. They are now expanding that to our community. So the Center for Health and Living at 480 South Bedford Road in Chappaqua, and it's located in the Chappaqua Crossing, and it's next to Whole Foods. I've been down to the facility. It's a very nice new office, and they will be offering, once again, COVID-19 antibody testing. Antibody testing will be offered Monday through Friday between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Through July 31st. So you can come in anytime during that period. Pre-registration is required 24 hours in advance and can be completed online. So you can contact Northern Westchester Hospital and make yourself an appointment down there at Chappaqua Crossing. 2020 census, total response rate for June 7, 2020, Somers is at 67.1% response rate. In 2010, we had a response rate of 73.7%. So we're off our mark. And as you know, census data is crucial for each municipality. It depends on how much funding you're entitled to in the future. Census data for the region depends on how many elected officials you can have to represent you. So, and as almost every one of us on the town board has testified to, it is so easy to go online to register, and it takes 2 or 3 minutes, and you go on to my2020census.gov and you can respond. If it asks you for a registration number, all you have to do is say no, and it'll take the data anyway. So 2020 census, let's get at it and let's get counted.
You know, whether it's 67%, 73, 83, 93%, there's really no reason why it shouldn't be 100%.
Correct.
You know, it's easy, it's necessary. I think it's a duty as a citizen. So there's really no reason. I know that not everybody will do it, just like everybody should vote, everybody doesn't vote, but really it's a piece of cake, like you said, and everybody should do it.
I mailed it in. It was, I mean, filling out the form was ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to keep banging you on the head, Somers, to make sure you get us counted. So just to reiterate, it was with a heavy heart that we decided to cancel the June 27th Independence Day celebration. As you will recall, you know, we had, in conjunction with Sebastian Capital and the Somers Lions and Chamber of Commerce, hosted a tailgate party down at the old Pepsi building parking lot. And none of us could figure out a way to pull that many people together in a safe fashion in the midst of everything that's going on. So just to reiterate, we're canceling the celebration. Hopefully, maybe later in the year, we can get together and shoot off our fireworks. But for right now, we have no plans to shoot those off either. I sent out a code red message, general, early this evening, I believe, just to remind everybody there's been kind of a rash of car thefts and break-ins in North Salem, Somers, and the surrounding areas. And I thought about, when I wrote it, you know, I put break-ins, but when we investigate people that call us saying a car was stolen or I lost valuables from my car, we find out that car wasn't locked or the keys were in the car. You know, I guess there was a time, I mean, I used to leave my car keys in the car. I didn't lock my house, but this is a different era. And you don't make yourself a victim by not locking your car. Even if you're going into a mobile mart or into a grocery store, look to see if there's any valuables out in your car, hide them, lock your car, and then you're going to be guaranteed your car will be there when you come out.
Yeah,
Um,
what it sounds like they're doing, Rick, is it's almost like a crime of opportunity. They're looking for an open car just to try and steal what's in it. And if they see a set of keys, they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this car and go to another neighborhood and find that. And now, just with all the push button cars, it is easy sometimes to leave your keys in. You get in, you put them in the center console, you start the car, you stop, and you go in the house. So, but putting a code red out was good because it's been going all up and down I-84.
Yeah, look, we want to be the smart community. You know, people try to come in here and check car doors, let them be locked. Another great deterrent, and the chief keeps reminding me about this, is, you know, most homes have outdoor lights. Well, if you're like any like me, when I finally go to sleep, I turn the lights off. And he's saying, don't turn your lights off. Keep your lights on. Keep your lights on all night. It's a very effective deterrent. They're going to go somewhere else if your house is lit up, and you know, they're not going to want to take that risk. So
I have to say I've done that, and I continue to do that, but I've noticed that the electric bill has shown that I've been doing that.
yes, but fortunately, you're part of the community aggregation program, and your rates are fixed.
Yeah, fixed.
You know, what many of us are doing, myself included also,
And they hurt.
it's relatively inexpensive. I mean, it's not that expensive, is the Ring camera.
Yeah.
That
Turns
too.
on automatically, it films it. So, you know, that could hopefully be a deterrent as well.
Right. So, Tony, getting back to your electrical increase, well, you haven't been spending money in restaurants either.
But food, let me tell you, everybody's home.
Okay, well, I guess there's no winning if I
I think I'm going to spell food with 3 O's.
There you go.
It's Full House starring the Saricos, season 2020.
Yeah,
On
well,
demand.
no one told you to go out and get another mouth to feed either.
Yeah, right.
The one on four legs.
4
So,
legs, right.
Yeah, that's right.
all right. So, is there any further
Yes.
comment?
I'd like to say one thing. This will be our last meeting. I'm obviously selfish in this, but I want to congratulate and wish all the luck in the world to all of the Somers graduates who will be, you know, moving on to jobs, colleges, the military. You know, obviously I have one among them, and they're going to be doing it on the 23rd over at the Jefferson Valley Mall parking lot with production company and a screen. And, you know, I think they're making the best of it. I did hear recently that because some things are changing, not positive, but I read it on social media, that they may be working on some way that they can actually get their diploma on that day. Which again, I agree with people. If you can go up to a cash register and pay for groceries, you should be able to go up and pick up a diploma. But I just want to wish them all success. I know many of them. I coached many of them, and they're a great group of kids who are getting sort of a raw deal this year. So I wish them the best.
No,
When's the date, Tom?
Wednesday the 23rd, but it's only 1 car per family.
and that's in Jefferson Valley, right?
Jefferson Valley.
You bring that red convertible over there, Tom? I was admiring that.
I don't know what color it's going to be, but it's going to be a convertible.
So yeah, at our last week meeting, we talked about that senior parade of cars, which was fantastic. So this on the 16th, there's going to be a moving up parade for grades second, going from Primrose into SIS. So that'll be at 6 p.m., the same route that the seniors went through. There's going to be a moving up parade on the 17th for the 5th and 6th graders. moving from SIS to SMS. And graduation. And then on the 22nd, 8th graders are going to the big game up in Somers High School. So their parade is going to be on the 22nd. So we wish all our Somers students a great time at the graduation parades. Unfortunately, things will get better in the future, but we'll get through this. We're trying to make it the best we can. So any closing comments, concerns?
One thing, Rick, if you could, I just thought of it. Any of those things that are sent out to the restaurants about precautions, if they could just send it to the town board too, whether it be Patty or Kim, just so we know what those regulations are or guidelines.
Right. Okay, I'm not sure that may not even been sent out yet, but yes.
Yeah, whatever.
I'll make sure that you guys get it. So my closing comment would be, look, we're Somers strong. We have to keep up the good work that we've been doing, which means masks and social distancing. So with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
One quick comment, Rick, as you know, and I appreciate what the deputy supervisor said and congratulate all of our kids moving up under these very difficult and challenging circumstances. But of course, Sunday is June 14th, Flag Day, so hang Old Glory out with pride. And happens to also be Tommy Burns' 14th birthday. So happy birthday to him.
Hey.
And even
Great.
though we don't have a 4th of July or celebration or Independence Day here, we should celebrate the Declaration of Independence on the 4th and the great promise of America that all people are created equal and have equal rights, and probably as fitting this year as any other year we've had. So we can celebrate that.
I still
Yeah.
have a copy of the Constitution that you gave me.
It has the Declaration of Independence in there too.
And
So
so
many years
do
ago.
I. I have
We're
that.
closing in on 4,000 of those. So anybody needs one, see me. I give you a free pocket Constitution with the Declaration of Independence.
Yep, I
I've
got
been
one
looking
early
at
from you.
the amendment quite a bit.
Thank you.
So thank you. Okay, I have a motion out there to close the town board meeting.
Second?
All in
All in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. There it is.
I keep it at hand.
Be well. Stay safe.
Nice.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
Take care. Thanks.
night, guys. Good night, Patty.
Hey, Patty.
Good night, guys.
Bye, Patty.
Good night, Patty.